On the afternoon of Sunday, August 2, 2009, a fishing guide from Saldatna had an accident with an emaciated old brown bear that would change his life forever. This is the personal account of a terrifying face-to-face encounter with a desperately hungry bear that will make you afraid to walk alone in bear country. What's up, guys? Iceman here. So this story is already set up to be quite terrifying as far as I see it. But before I get into it, I'd like to thank you guys for all your support on this channel, as it has been growing pretty fast. So I'd appreciate it if you like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit the bell so you're notified next time I post a video. And if you want to support me further, you can become a patron or a channel member. Links in the description below. Brush, a salmon fishing guide from the town of Saldatna, Alaska, was walking his dog on a rare day off. He carried a large pistol with a heavy load, a Ruger containing a powerful .454 Casal cartridge. Due to the many bear incidents in this area, Brush always thinks of brown bears, even when walking on a well-maintained road. Saldatna is in close proximity to the Kenai National Wildlife Refuge and the famous Kenai River brown bears, the bears themselves, and their namesake, hockey team. Due to conservation efforts, the population of brown bears in the area has increased over the last several decades. A rise in human bear incidents has paralleled the population increase, and many residents of the area feel the animals that are seldom hunted are becoming too habituated to human presence. The Alaska Department of Fish and Game says several important brown bear habitats are threatened by human encroachment from commercial, recreational, and residential developments. Therefore, they have put strict hunting limits in place to help maintain the population. But such protection comes at a cost to the inhabitants of Kenai. While dramatic incidents like Greg Brush's are rare, human bear encounters are not. Indeed, 31 DLP shootings were reported in 2008 alone. Defense of life or property reports are filed when a bear is shot in defense, like Brush's situation. Walking with his dog less than 500 meters from his house, Brush froze when he heard a branch snap behind him. Turning his head toward the sound, Brush saw a huge brown bear, furry head down and nose pointed directly at Brush. The Bruin was hurtling toward the man like a freight train. There was no warning, he stresses. None of the classic teeth popping or woofing, raising up on hind legs, or bluff charging that you read about. When I spotted him, he was within 15 yards, his head down and his ears pinned back. Brush took a few steps back as he scrambled to draw the Ruger from its holster. I fired from the hip as he closed the distance, he recalls. Brush tripped at the edge of the road and fell backwards, praying that a few of his shots had met their mark. I know I missed the first shot, but I clearly hit him after that. I believe I fired 4 or 5 shots. Miraculously, the bear collapsed just 5 feet in front of where Brush lay, leaving claw marks in the place where Brush had been standing just seconds earlier. The bear groaned, its huge head still moving as Brush aimed his Ruger to deliver the final blow. But then my gun jammed, he says. I frantically called my wife on my cell phone and told her to bring the rifle. When she arrived, I finished the bear. After the incident, biologists studied the body of the massive brown bear for clues to its behavior. The bear, a male, measured 9 feet 6 inches from nose to tail, or 10 feet 6 inches from paw to paw. Normally, that length would correspond to a body weight of 1,300 to 1,400 pounds, but this bear was found to be underweight by a whopping 400 pounds. His teeth were just worn out. You could see his ribs through his hide. Brush says, normally they are eating mainly salmon, moose calves, or carrion. Right now, as they put on fat for the winter, this bear had grass in his molars, a sure sign he was starving to death. He would not have survived the winter. At an estimated 15 to 20 years old, the male bear was an experienced but aging hunter. Brush reported that the boar's huge head was covered in scars, which may have come from altercations with other bears. No animal remains were found near the site of the attack, and the lone male had no cubs to protect. Had I not been able to kill him, he'd have killed and likely eaten me, Brush said. Greg and his wife, Sherry, have 2 daughters. Following the attack, he spent a lot of time pondering many what-ifs, he says. I'm just so thankful that it wasn't my wife or girls walking down the road. I'm not an extremely religious person, but someone followed me that day. It's nearly impossible to take this heavy Ruger out of its holster and fire it in that amount of time. After the crash, I tried to replicate that shot, and I was able to fire at most 2 in the seconds before the attack happened. Brush continues to hope that others can learn to respect bears. They are part of the reason I moved here many years ago, but we do take precautions and do everything we can to give them their space. Unfortunately, bears here have little fear of people. When they smell or see a human, the reaction is rarely one of fear, like you see with bears in more remote areas. Here, many bears encounter people, and instead of fleeing, they associate them with food. Jeez, what a close encounter this guy had. And how crazy is it that he was able to get off all those shots just in the nick of time? It really does make me wonder if the creator was watching out for this guy. You know, on my last YouTube video, I believe, there's a guy in the comments who was going on about how, according to his experience one day out in bear country, the creator made a shield around him and the bears stayed away from him, like some sort of protection of a blessing that this guy received. I'm not going to go into detail of it because I didn't really read the whole story, but it was pretty interesting. But nonetheless, what a strange thing that this Greg guy moved out there partly due to the bears, and really he almost was eaten by one. Just how unfortunate that would have been. It reminds me of myself a bit, how he questioned all the what-ifs. What if he was distracted? What if he couldn't get the shots off in time? What if he didn't hear the bear? What if the bear ate him alive? Or worse. But thankfully he was able to make it out, seemingly unscathed. It seems like this bear was starving, as mentioned in this story. There was something really off about it. And that's the thing, is nature oftentimes is unpredictable. Even though the numbers don't really add up, where you could justify your reasoning that you won't be attacked out in bear country, there still are always those rare anomalies that occur. And I suppose this is one of them, running into a starving, desperate bear. A situation like this must be perspective gaining, I would assume. He probably went home that evening, and his meal with his family tasted better than it ever had. A new appreciation for his wife and daughters, and life in general. So yeah, man, don't take things for granted out there, alright? You just never know when something like this could happen to you, even if it doesn't involve a bear, just some other sort of dangerous situation. But I appreciate you guys for coming by, and if you will, like this video, subscribe to the page, and stay tuned for more chilling tales from the Iceman.